Welcome. It is Monday, February 28th, the final day in February for this 2011. No leap year this year, if I check the calendar properly. My name is Aaron Dykes. I'm filling in for Alex. He's up in New York today. We just saw a segment on The View with ABC with over 30 million viewers talking about the Charlie Sheen incident. Alex will be popping in on the broadcast later to talk about that clip. We're going to play it for you just after the break. Of course, we're going to cover everything going on in the Middle East, primarily Libya, and everything about Gaddafi and the Eastern rebel forces, and whether or not the U.S. is going to intervene on a humanitarian or other pretext. We will also cover the refugees headed to Egypt and also Tunisia, two countries that just got out of the frying pan. And later in the broadcast, we will have James Corbett of thecorbettreport.com. He's going to help break down the Middle East crisis, and we're going to talk about the rise of global government, which, of course, the Middle East arc of crisis, destabilization, kind of juicy region is a big part of. But we will get into that later. And then in the third hour, we're going to have a replay of Catherine Austin Fitts, and that is all coming up after the break. Right now, we want to cover some of the Libya stuff. Obama's humanitarian conquest of Libya. That's Paul Joseph Watson from today. When his Predator drone attack kills 90% innocents, President suddenly develops a conscience for human suffering. Here we have Obama given the Nobel Peace Prize supposedly on the idea that he's going to end war in the Middle East, but instead he's just gearing up for a wider war, and we can only pray that doesn't become World War III or Iran or anything really big. We also have Kurt Nimmo. The Libyans say no thanks to globalist intervention. These are the rebel forces that are held up in the eastern city of Benghazi, and they have said foreign intervention would not be welcome, the Daily Caller reports. They do not want foreign intervention. They want to deal with Gaddafi on their own terms. We have, of course, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. We have John McCain. We have Joe Lieberman, all working in the region, trying to kick this thing off under whatever pretext they will walk away with. Right now, they're going to use the humanitarian buzzword, it appears. An old favorite, if you go back to, I'll bring this up later, Jim Tucker has always talked about how the Bilderbergers love those smaller humanitarian reasons, just like the wars in the Balkans, rather than the bigger wars like Iraq. They had to fight in Bilderberg for the Iraq war, but they love the smaller scale stuff where the U.S. and the world government forces, the United Nations and NATO, tend to look better as though they're doing something good, but really it's a you break it, you buy it policy, and they are shifting everything in the Middle East right now, particularly in Libya. We also have Egypt bans gold exports. Egypt is not allowing gold, at least for individuals, to go out of the country at the moment. A decree banning the export of gold in all of its forms, including jewelry and ornaments, was issued by newly appointed Trade Minister Samir Sayad, and it takes effect immediately until June 30th. That will surely have repercussions on the world market. That's in Reuters. And, of course, we have Egypt looking to rewrite its constitution as it's currently under military control. That will be interesting to see how that develops. Then we have things like DNA genetic pat-down introduced by airports, and they're going to be using this on immigrants and other people, but we know it's going to spread wider. More on that when we get back, and Alex Jones on The View, injecting real issues through the pop culture. When we get back, this is Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.com. I'm Aaron Dykes. We are back on Infowars.com, the Alex Jones Show. I am Aaron Dykes, filling in till Alex gets back. He's in New York as we speak. He just came off of The View, the ABC show that has over 30 million viewers. He was on live talking about the Charlie Sheen celebrity, what would be a distraction, but Alex took the opportunity and really pulled a true InfoWars interjection of real media issues when they had him on to discuss celebrity, Charlie's drug situation, whether he's off drugs or on drugs, and what's going on with the show. I don't know. I do know Charlie Sheen has been a good friend to 9/11 Truth for all these years. It was almost 5 years ago that he broke in and came on this show and raised some serious questions with his big celebrity name, and really got a lot of people to take a closer look at 9/11, which of course later led to the C-SPAN conference. We'll get back into that in a minute. Right now, we want to play that clip from The View. Alex Jones on Just This Morning, February 28th, only a few minutes ago, and we're going to play that right now and then break it down for you.
Of that interview that Charlie Sheen did with ABC correspondent Amanda Canning, where he passionately defends his lifestyle of drug use and partying. But it all started with a radio show rant last Thursday that prompted CBS to cancel the rest of the season of his hit sitcom. And we just want to share a little bit of the clip, and then you'll meet the man he was talking to. Take a look.
Chaim Levine, yeah, that's Chuck's real name, mistook this rock star for his own selfish exit strategy, bro. Check it, Alex. I embarrassed him in front of his children and the world by healing at a pace that his unevolved mind cannot process. Okay, last I checked, Chaim, I've spent, I think, close to the last decade, I don't know, effortlessly and magically converting your tin cans into pure gold.
Well, joining now is the radio show host and close friend of Charlie Sheen, the man he was talking to, Alex Jones. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. If I could just say one thing, I've known Charlie for about 6.5 years. He's never drunk alcohol, used drugs in front of me. He's been completely clean for almost a decade until about 7 months ago. Now he's come off the drugs and the alcohol, which is almost like, being off your meds. It has the same effect. So he's supercharged. He's angry. He's focused. And I know that when they interviewed him at his house, because I talked to him, they interviewed him for about 2 hours. And that's a little kind of joke that's out of context. He's tired of being judged and him being held up as the ultimate demon in this world. He didn't kill 1 million people in Iraq. He wasn't involved with the takedown of Building 7 here in New York. And he thinks there's bigger devils out there than himself. And Chuck Lorre's put out a whole bunch of these cue cards while having management tell him a month ago, if you speak out against 4 episodes being cut, we're going to fire you. Then he starts putting out all of these. Chuck Lorre. He starts putting out.
The producer.
He starts putting out vanity cards, not just on 2.5 Men, but on other shows, saying Charlie Sheen is dead inside and soulless. You didn't show the worst one there, and so Charlie's told, we're tying your hands. Now we're going to beat you up for whatever contract negotiations.
Let me ask you. So the question that I have is, so you're saying Chuck Lorre started this?
With the vanity card.
With the vanity
And up front had management, according to Charlie, and I've been there when he's on the phone with his management or his manager comes over.
You're talking too fast for me, baby. Slow down.
Well, I know we don't have a lot of time. I'm getting it on record.
Right.
They told him, before he said a word, they said, we're doing this, and if you criticize it, you're going to be fired. And he said, why are you telling me this? I'm going through a hard time right now. But he didn't understand it then. I think they're trying to make him quit or something, so they have to pay out his contract or the $100 million in syndication. I think there's some shenanigans going on here. And then they start putting these things out. Then they start putting these vanity cards out, trying to prod him and push him.
People what vanity cards are. I don't think people know.
Okay, most shows have a logo at the end, like a little dog or the MGM lion. Chuck Lorre has these big write-ups at the end of his show. And imagine at the end of the show with Charlie Sheen and other CBS shows. This is on air, saying this man is soulless. This man is dead inside.
Let me ask you this. Do you think, because from that clip that we saw, a lot of people would ascertain, or assume that Charlie was on drugs again. You say he wasn't. Do you think
he's taking blood tests?
Do you think he's...
I've been at his house when they come in, take the blood, take the urine.
I take your word.
I was there 2 weeks ago.
I hear you. Do you think he's manic depressive? I mean, as a friend, do you say, okay, this is something else? You guys are missing the boat. It's not the drugs. He's actually suffering from manic depressive disorder.
Let's just remember, Charlie's been a star. Charlie's been a star for 30 years, and all people know about is these episodes where he explodes. The Charlie Sheen I know is a compassionate guy who's really smart.
The episodes where he explodes. I mean, he was saying, this is the best thing that happened to the people who were with me. They're never going to regret it. They had the best time. This is on drugs, tearing up rooms in hotels. What about that explosion?
I know this. I don't use illegal drugs, but when I quit smoking, I've had a long battle with that. I feel horrible for a week, and about a week later, my my wife says, please, just go back to smoking sometimes because I get so manic. And I think we have a similar physiology. A lot of people have that physiology.
He was not giving it up at that point. He was on the drugs and booze.
Oh, you're talking about the last few months.
Do you think there's something underlying here that people are missing as a friend?
I just think that he's somebody going through a hard time who got clean, and that's why I went out to California to help him. And I know that it's wrong for them to be prodding him, yes, and demonizing him and trying to make him blow up. That's actually what I believe is going on here. They should all just shake hands, bury the hatchet, come together for the crew of 2.5 Men. I want and try to support Charlie, but also Chuck Lorre, everybody else, but understand what happened.
Okay. Okay. So you're worried about it.
But Charlie's tired of being held up like the devil. We got the TSA putting their hand down people's pants. Infowars.com covers it all. We've got the banks bankrupting the U.S.
Wait. Let's stick with Charlie because that's way too much for me.
Charlie is mad because he's held up his other problems. He didn't steal $23.7 trillion like the Federal Reserve.
We're just here to figure out what is happening with Charlie. That's what we're trying to figure out.
And he's doing interviews now, so he has a chance to speak for himself. And
but they're taken out of context.
Look, we're not comparing him to Gaddafi.
You haven't seen them.
Oh, they've been comparing him to Gaddafi.
Look, I was just saying, I don't think I
Let's
haven't heard
compare George Bush, $1 million Iraqis, to Gaddafi.
We're going to really go there right now.
Torture, secret arrest, America's turning into a police state.
We're asking you about your friends.
Excuse me. I think we were here to talk about Charlie Sheen. I'm not trying to cut you off.
Charlie says you have a right to kill him, but not to judge him, as Colonel Kurtz said.
Thank you. You are certainly a wonderful friend.
And helping him.
Yep, boy. Yeah. Thank you.
Charlie, stay clean. We love you. And everybody else out there, stay clean. Don't use drugs. Infowars.com.
That's a good message. Okay.
Infowars.com.
All right, when we come back, our series.
Infowars.com. Okay, that is Alex Jones using the media tool for what it's there for, to interject real issues. There's over 30 million viewers on The View. You've seen a lot of really influential people go on there, even though they just cover celebrity news. You've got all these people trapped in that false world of celebrity news, petty issues of who's dating who and who went where. And Alex directly took it on and tried to interject, bring people back to the real issues: torture, secret arrest. He mentioned that over 1 million dead Iraqis. He mentioned that Building 7 was collapsed. He mentioned how TSA is sticking their hands down people's pants. He's mentioned how over $23.7 trillion have been looted and stolen through this whole derivative scam. He mentioned how Charlie is being compared with Gaddafi. And here we have petty celebrity issues, and, we don't know what's going on with Charlie Sheen, but we wish him well. It's his personal life. And then we have real issues going on in the world, Gaddafi and the rest of it, and somehow Charlie is supposed to be of equal weight, but that's just the cycle of celebrity news. That's the way it goes. But I thought Alex did an amazing job of really trying to bring people back around to what's really important in this world, albeit on a celebrity show that covers these kind of topics day in and day out. But you have seen The View cover other substantial topics. Rosie O'Donnell really put herself on the line and used that platform to cover a lot of 9/11 truth issues. And now Alex, live on the show, is using it to cover 9/11 and other issues, really. And they didn't want to talk about the Bush issues, how controversial it is that Bush just blatantly lied about WMDs, invaded Iraq without a real pretext, why we're still in Afghanistan after almost a decade, why Obama, who supposedly is supposed to be ending these wars, is just expanding them. And, now we see everything going on in northern Africa. It's just an expansion of the Mideast tension that's been going on. And so how refreshing for a bunch of housewives to see questions they may not even be familiar with. What is he talking about, 1 million dead Iraqis? They never reported that on the mainstream news. Certainly, Building 7 has been little reported except in the alternative news. It's very interesting. Last week, we just saw heard about Mancow's interview with Donald Rumsfeld. Said he had never heard about Building 7. Certainly a blatant lie, but at least he's being asked these questions. Just before that, he had been asked at the CPAC conference, what happened to those missing $2.3 trillion the Pentagon admitted it couldn't account for. Rumsfeld just lied again and said, well, it was always there. The point is, we see these questions still being raised after the Bush administration has faded away as they're trying to rebrand themselves.
Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the sites, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.